Hello, fourth and long fans. It's your AFL correspondent, Donnie Hess here with another interview in my U.S. fans wrapping up through all the AFL clubs. And today we have Mr. Tori Sanchez all the way out in beautiful Hawaii. How you doing, Tori?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you, Donnie?
I am not doing too bad. Unfortunately, I do not have the luxury of beaches and waves here in nice cornfield, Iowa. So I'm a little jealous. If I could jettison out there, I would, sir. I really, really would. So, um, I thought we'd after this hello, and we just a little bit about yourself, just kind of who you are, what you do. I mean, we know you're in Hawaii, so most people that are already listening to this are just a tiny bit jealous. But just kind of give me just a tiny bit of a bio of who Tori Sanchez is.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised here on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Incredibly lucky to be able to call this place my home. Footy wise, I've been playing for almost 2 years now with the great Hawaii Eagles. We are the only Australian rules football club in the state at the moment. We're looking to expand that. But yeah, big fan of footy. I've been watching. I've only gotten into it within the last 2 years, but I've been watching religiously since I joined the AFL community. And looking forward to speak about my favorite club.
Alrighty, well, that's a great transition here, and I'm pretty much. I think I got a good idea, but kind of your story with getting into footy was joining the Hawaii Eagles. I take it.
Yes. So
Awesome.
a buddy of mine, he's the one who founded the club. He used to throw shows all the time. Do you guys remember shows? Shows are great.
Hmm.
But he used to throw shows all the time in the bar I was working at the moment, and pretty much every show he would host, he'd come up to the bar and be like, "Yo, Tori, you gotta come have a kick." And me, I'm not that athletic of a guy. So finally, after maybe like 3 months of him pestering me, I finally relented. Went to the park, learn how to hit handballs, and it's been history ever since.
That's a cool story. And then what was it? Okay, I have to ask this. I know your first ever game. I think you guys played Seattle. Who was the famous person that happened to the famous footy person that happened to be on the island the day of the game? This is one of the coolest stories. You have to tell the story.
So I think we're maybe halfway through the first quarter or just beginning the first quarter. I can't remember exactly when. But me being new to footy, I didn't know who this guy was at all. I just see this tall, you could tell he was in good shape, but he you could also tell that he was probably in better shape a few years ago. But he throws on one of our jumpers, one of the Seattle halfbacks who was covering me at the time. He goes, "Hey, is that Sam Mitchell?" I'm like, "Who the hell is Sam Mitchell? I have no idea who that is." Come to find out after the game, I look him up. Premiership player, played for Hawthorn and the Eagles. Uh, all around great guy. You could tell that he was definitely holding back for us, for our sakes.
Yeah, I heard that story. I think I heard another Hawaii Eagles. They were telling me that story, and I'm just like, you have to be kidding me. But I guess it was kind of in some situations, even almost a little bit better because you didn't have to worry about being starstruck. You're just wanting to play and all that. So I
Yeah,
think that, so it is kind of a somewhat of a blessing in disguise that not everybody was like, oh my God, that's Sam Mitchell. Oh my God, that's Sam Mitchell. Oh, we're playing footy with Sam Mitchell. Oh my gosh. So and the guy now, I think he rejoined Hawthorne as one of their coaches now. So that's kind of one of the cool things now. It's like you're with it. You played with an AFL coach now, so that's kind of a really cool thing. So kind of piggybacking off that a little bit. I mean, we know you play for Hawaii, but I got to ask, who's your AFL club?
it might come as a shock to you guys, but I am a huge supporters of the 2018 premiers, the West Coast Eagles.
Awesome. And one of those where you kind of decided to be an Eagles fan because of the club, or is it that you was it what specifically kind of brought you to the Eagles?
So after a few months of going to practices with the Hawaii Eagles, everyone was pestering me. He's like, "Oh, who are you gonna bag for? Who are you gonna support? Who's your club?" And I played around with the idea for a while. I was thinking about doing Brizzy for a minute. I thought about, unfortunately, Collingwood for a minute. but I finally said, they're the reigning premiers. They're our parent club. I might as well barrack the West Coast Eagles.
Yep. So not like you're stretching, and I've heard that a ton. And I know several other people that if their sister club is one of the AFL clubs, they tend to hop on. So that tends to be a well known one. And you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, I always like finding out kind of what type of fan are you? Are you one of those diehards that gets up at 2 a.m. like I do to watch my Sydney Swans, or are you kind of wait and you'll watch it on delay maybe? I mean, what kind of express to me what type of fan are you for the West Coast Eagles?
I would say somewhere between hardcore or diehard and let's be not casual. Um, I watch every game. I should say I watch every game live. I'm lucky here with time zones. Our games, most of the games started like 10:30, 11. For some weird reason, they may start at 2 a.m. But other than that, I'm there. I got my Watch AFL subscription. I'm casting it on my huge TV, and I'm staying up for all 4 quarters and watching everything.
Awesome. I do the same. Trust me. And the best part is when you start making friends with some of your fellow fans, is that they get a kick out of the fact that you're going to stay up into the early evening or late nights to watch the game. So it's always kind of a nice one. So going off that, we know you're a West Coast Eagles fan. I got to ask, do you have a favorite player on the team currently? And then have you kind of delved into a little bit of the West Coast Eagles history and maybe have a favorite player that's a little bit older, maybe not a current player?
Ah, my favorite current player. It's really hard. Me as a native Hawaiian, I have a real big soft spot in my heart for the indigenous players.
Mm-hmm.
So guys like Willie Rioli, Liam Ryan, Tim Kelly, Nick Nat, those guys are all top of my list. Me being a forward, not a very good forward, but a forward nonetheless. I love not Nick Nat. I love Liam Ryan. I love Jack Darling. I love JK17. Those are my 3 guys right there.
Yeah, and flying Liam Ryan is one of my favorites. Whenever I watch a West Coast game, just the fact that he makes those specky marks look so smooth. They're so
Oh, it's
much fun
crazy
to
that
watch.
that hanger he took on Max Gone last year or beginning of this season, I think.
I think it
Oh, it
was
was
eight.
last
I think it
season
was
and
18. It was 18. Yeah, yep. It was either 18 or 19. It was
just
one
a
of those two.
massive hanger. Like he's all of what, 5'6", 5'7", maybe,
Yeah,
and he's hitting
maybe.
a guy who's almost 7 feet tall. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, but it's all timing. He timed it absolutely perfect, and the fact that Gone was in just the right spot, he could put his leg on the back of his shoulders, made it
Yeah.
that much more spectacular. So going off that, kind of last year was kind of a very interesting year for the West Coast Eagles. It kind of depended on when you paid attention. So I always like kind of finding out, like, as since you seem to be quite a heavy fan, kind of what were your thoughts about last year's? Were you disappointed that a team that coming off some really good seasons just didn't really have it? And kind of what were your thoughts on last year?
That hub was their time in the hub was it was a very difficult 3 weeks for me. Going to bed at 4 in the morning when I got to be up at 8 just to watch them throw away the game that they should have won was very hard. But that second time in their hub, they did a lot better. They went on a really good win streak, and that time in Perth didn't hurt either.
Yeah, when you can go 7-0 at home, that definitely the home game advantage was definitely on West Coast's side. You going 7-0 and going from 14th in the ladder all the way up to the top 5 was definitely one of those nice little boosts for them. But it was rather confusing to see them not play as well. What are your thoughts of the new addition from Geelong? Brain farting completely right now. Kind of thoughts? Do you think that the midfield kind of gelled better? Are you really looking forward to this next season? I mean, kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Are you referring to Tim Kelly?
Yep, Tim Kelly.
Okay, I was wondering
Tip
if
of the
there
tongue, couldn't think of it.
I was wondering if there's some sort of trade that happened I didn't know about. But yeah, TK did he brought a lot to the midfield that West Coast needed. Luke Shuey, he was pretty much the glue that held the whole team together. Just that I feel that with Tim Kelly, their midfield is a lot stronger. Now you don't have to just rely on Luke Shuey. You don't have to just rely on Nick Nat. You don't have to rely on Elliot Yo. You got an entire midfield you can lean on to get those tap downs and get
Yeah,
that ball toward 50.
and having Nick Nat and having Nick Nat as your ruck always helps too because he's so good at tapping it down. So,
When he's healthy.
oh yeah, exactly. Well, Shuey had his hamstring issues and all that.
Yeah.
So and Yo kind of missed most of the second half of the year, which kind of really stunk because I think it really uh took a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the Eagles. So, so you say you're a diehard a little bit. Have been keeping track of the off season this year. I mean, some of the moves, or you kind of like, I'm kind of we'll figure it out once we get a little bit closer to the season.
Uh, so I'm not one of those guys who really pay attention during the off season. Like I won't be like, oh, they need to pick up this guy or they need to trade away this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of I'll check the feed on my lunch break, like, oh, hey, this guy's gone, or we're getting this guy. I will say that I am sad to see Lewis Jetta leave because I again, Indigenous player, love that guy, and you know, two-time premiership with your Swans and my Eagles. Just I feel like he would have been a good addition for like maybe the junior side to give him that kind of that veterans perspective.
Yeah, Lewis Jett always has a soft spot for me just because he had so many good years. And one of my favorite memories is 2012 Grand Final when him and Rioli had the race. That was one of my favorite memories from that 2012 Grand Final. So that was definitely a kick. So
Is that where he got his nickname Jets too?
I'm not sure. I think he might have even got it before because he'd always known as having really good pace. And I think a
Right.
lot of people had always wondered if him and Rioli had a race who would win. So that 2012 Grand Final kind of proved it because Rioli could never get more than about 3 or 4 steps
Yeah.
close to
It
Jet.
was
So that
it
was
was skin of the teeth that whole
oh,
sprint.
oh yeah, it was. So okay, so going from that, one of the things I love finding out is that you seem like a massive footy fan. What's your favorite game that you've ever seen? Whether it's West Coast Eagles, anybody, kind of up in the air. Most likely, I'm guessing is probably an Eagles game, but just to see.
uh, any game we beat Frio or Collingwood, it's a great game. So obviously, first game I ever watched too, 2018 Premiership. That is by far my favorite game. Greatest comeback I've ever seen. Just
All all of
I
life is
watched that
timing.
to get me psyched up to go to practice.
All of life is timing. That was one of the best grand finals I've had the pleasure of seeing. I had to admit that, and then the fact of seeing a documentary and finding out that what was it, Sheed who kicks the goal and Liam Ryan were both supposed to come off because they
Oh,
hadn't
yeah.
been playing well, and then to hear that they were both supposed to come off, and then Ryan takes the screamer, kicks it to Sheed, and Sheed threads the needle, kicking the winning goal. So it's just kind of one of those. I love that game. That game is one of those. If I can put it on and show people kind of the really good part about footy, that's a really good game to show. So kind of piggybacking off that a little bit. For me, I'm one of those. I'm excited to see the AFLW coming up soon. So kind of going off you is are you going to keep an eye on the AFLW since the Eagles do have their own team? Or you kind of maybe wait till the league's just a little bit more established before you start hopping into the women's game?
No, we got to support the women everywhere we can. I didn't really pay attention last season because I didn't know my Watch AFL subscription carried AFLW. But now that I know, yeah, I'm for sure watching it, especially because we have Danny Marshall playing for the Bulldogs. She is a US AFL product, and it's great for our league knowing that we can produce talent that's good enough to play back in Australia.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, sometime maybe to get a chance to talk with her because I've heard several interviews with her and she seems like an amazing person. And I also agree. I think especially here in the States, I think we've been able to produce a lot more women's footy players, and with the opportunity now to play pro over there, I think it's an absolutely awesome experience and opportunity for some of the ladies here. Any word on whether Hawaii is going to be able to field the women's team anytime soon, or is it still we're still in the building process?
We're definitely working on that. Right now, with our Metro matches, it's mixed gender. We're not out there trying to kill each other. We're there trying to put into practice what we learned, and just grow our sport more here. But definitely down the line, that's for sure something we want to do is make our own dedicated women's part of the team.
Awesome, and I completely agree. It's one of the things I've been really ever since I took over for the head coach of the Roosters, and we've had more women kind of hop in. I think it's really good for the men's and women's teams to kind of gel because I think it helps both parts of the club
Oh,
really,
for sure.
really
Yeah.
expand for sure. But Tori, this has been an awesome chat. It's very interesting to hear kind of the story you have there and the fact that Hawaii's now got its own USAFL team. So I think for a lot of us, I think many of us mainland USAFL teams, I think we all dream of that one time maybe coming out there and playing footy. So I'll definitely work on some of the Roosters guys, maybe see if we can get out there and have a fun little match between your Eagles and my Roosters. Hopefully that'd be awesome to be able to get out there to Hawaii. But I want to again thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. And then if there's any West Coast Eagles fans out there that want to get a hold of you, if you want to plug any of your social media, so you can maybe get more contact with more Eagles fans to chat with, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So our club Instagram is at Hawaii Eagles, all one word. On Facebook, we are Hawaii Eagles Australian Rules Football Club. If any of you guys are ever in the area, just drop us a line. We usually practice every Wednesday, but when this is all over, we'd love to have guys from the mainland come down. Doesn't have to be a game; just come down, have a kick with us, and then we'll go crush a couple tinnies down on the beach afterwards.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Mr. Sanchez, it has been a pleasure. You have yourself a good day, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
Same to you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Shoots, gang.